had a conversation with a gentleman. We got in touch in online, and then we started talking about investment opportunities in Africa. And for your information, I'm sure you know that Africa is the best place to invest in the next probably 50 to 100 years. But the challenge that investors are having now is, where do we even invest? And how do we invest? How do we get to know places and areas of opportunities that we are supposed to invest? So that is where Marco, myself came in that, okay, look, there is a need for us to come together. One, to look at those who have ideas. And as you probably might know, Africa has the youngest population. About 65% of the population of Africa are young people under 25 years with great ideas, great innovations, great techs. In fact, we have some of them here who will be showing what they have. So we wanted to look at that group of individuals who have ideas. And then also those who also have resources. When I talk about resources, we are talking about human resource. They have expertise in their area of operation. They also have money that they want to invest, but they don't know how to invest and where to invest. Therefore, our job is to connect these two groups of individuals, those with money and those with ideas, so that they can come together and invest in Africa. Our focus is investing in Africa. But we want to have a discussion. What are the areas that we need to invest in as investors? And then what are the areas that we can also, those of us who have ideas, can also begin to engage with investors and look at, okay, I was thinking about this area, but I think if I shift to that area, I'll get investment to support what I'm doing. So basically that is what we are going to do. We will have presentations from some individuals. We have panel discussions and presentations from individuals. So thank you for coming. God bless you.
So I'll continue by saying that I'm deeply honored and privileged to be invited as a guest of honor for this significant program on impact investment in Africa to connect startups to global audience. We have gathered here at a transformative moment for our country, Ghana, and of course, the continent Africa. Let me say, a continent brimming with untapped potential and endless opportunities. I am full of excitement for this program on impact investment, which is a powerful tool to connect Ghana and Africa's burgeoning startups with the global audience that we deserve. Our theme today resonates deeply with the current trajectory of our economies as we strive to create sustainable, inclusive, and prosperous futures for our people, particularly our teeming youth. Let me situate my address on the power of impact investment, startup entrepreneurship, and global audience reach within the context of tourism and hospitality context. Impact investment refers to investment made with the intention of generating positive, measurable social and environmental impact alongside financial return. Within the context of the tourism and hospitality industry in Ghana and of course in Africa, this type of investment focuses on creating sustainable and inclusive growth, preserving cultural heritage, and enhancing community development. Impact investment is more than just a financial endeavor. It is a commitment to fostering positive social, environmental, and economic change. The importance of impact investment in tourism and hospitality is evident in one, economic development in the areas of job creation and local entrepreneurship. Two, social impacts, as evident in community empowerment and cultural preservation. Three, environmental sustainability, ecotourism and sustainable practices. Inclusive growth, covering gender equality and youth engagement. Conservation and wildlife, covering protected areas of wildlife, water bodies, anti-poaching activities, and cultural heritage. By directing our resources into startups within this sector, we are not only empowering entrepreneurs, but also contributing to preserving our rich cultural heritage, promoting environmental sustainability, and enhancing the overall economic landscape. The ripple effects of such investments are profound, touching the lives of countless individuals and communities. When it comes to impact investment on the youth, our teeming youth, where, as you heard from the president of HCR earlier on, over 60% of the African population are within the youth bracket. And this is where we are trying to come up with programs like this. So we come up with investments that are very impactful. But it's not just any other investment that touch on social and environmental issues. That's where you see a lot of the global audience in terms of those investors seeking to help bridge that gap. You can find them. Business startups is a newly established one, typically in the early stages of development. So startups are usually founded by entrepreneurs. And when we talk about entrepreneurs, you can get three main entrepreneurs. There are those that are classified as opportunity entrepreneurs, those classified as social entrepreneurs, and those that are classified as necessity entrepreneurs. Those opportunity entrepreneurs, they spot opportunities, resulting mainly they look at world issues, global issues, they see problems where problems are, and spot opportunities and gaps in the system, and then they take advantage as much as possible to do business or to fill the gaps or provide solutions to them. Then we have those within the bracket of social entrepreneurship. Those also have some mission to address social and societal causes. So you have issues on environment, issues on human rights, unemployment, and they come in and then solve these issues. Not necessarily for profit, but of course they must make profit to sustain the business. But the major focus is to solve environmental and then social issues. And then for necessity entrepreneurs, you typically find them that as a result of growing unemployment within our society, they are involved in some retail activities or other businesses just to survive or to make a living. So those are the three main categories. So startups often aim to address gaps in the market to solve specific problems through innovative solutions. But there are others also within industry groups, those that also look at business models, whether it is business to business, business to consumer, business to government, or consumer to consumer. Then we have other startups within growth potentials, and then other startups within various stages of development. We can also have classification of entrepreneurship by way of the size of employment. Typically, within our traditional setup, when we say a startup or a business and they want to evaluate what the size of it, they look at the number of employees that you have. But these days, that is a bit of an old school thing, because you can have some of these tech businesses, very small in number, but the turnover that they are making, it's mind-blowing. And you go to the US, there are not that many, but some of them, their turnover or market capitalization is far, far higher than the entire country like Ghana, our GDP that we have. So we have this classification by way of size of employment, turnover, market capitalization, and then market presence. So that's on the startups. Now let's look at our global audience for the startups for the impact investment that we are talking about. You can typically have individual investors as being the global audience for impact investment, or they being impact investors. So you have individuals who are high net worth and then angel investors. When we talk about angel investors, these are individuals having enough capital to help start up businesses, and then when they do help you, then they take some shares or they have equity in your stake. So that's basically what it is. But we also have venture capitalists, but they will come in, typically funds from either pension funds or other investment funds, to be put in some of these startup capital. So it's important that you have an idea of some of these global audience by way of investment, so you know the appropriate opportunities that you can take as much as possible. So those are the individual investors covering the angel investors. Then we have also institutional investors. I mentioned earlier on pension funds, insurance companies, and endowments that allocate a portion of their portfolio to impact investments. I also talked about venture capital firms. Then we have also foundations and philanthropic organizations. We have corporate foundations. A typical example is, for instance, MTN. They have foundation, MasterCard, we have MasterCard Foundation here. They allocate some resources to support businesses that are within the bracket of impact investment. Then we have also development finance institutions. We have government grants programs. I think government of Ghana from time to time have been providing some grants for some businesses to access, especially the startup businesses. We also have non-governmental organizations and then social enterprises. We also have NGOs, social enterprises, and then also academic and research institutions. Typically what they will offer is to provide mentorship and research support. They provide research support and mentorship to startups working on innovative solutions with societal benefits. Then my favorite, incubators and then accelerators. Incubator programs are very, very solid programs that provide opportunities. For instance, if you're a startup business, you can take up an office there, you don't pay anything. Some of them even do provide some form of funding, or your utilities you may not even pay. But you'll be there doing your business and they mentor you, you sort of go through some form of tutelage to come up. So once you are on your feet, you can exit and then grow accordingly. The beauty of this is that some of these incubator programs, the beneficiaries, they come back and then reinvest in the business so that it sustains it. So other startup businesses can also come in and then continue as such. And then we have also the accelerator program. So we have incubators and accelerator programs. There's a typical one in Ghana here, MEST Africa. There's facility for tech startups, those in the technology space. You come up with an idea, whether you are even a content creator or you are app developer or any of these software development programmers. They create the environment for you to start your business, and as you grow, you exit. And for those of you, because we are talking to global audience and online, and the youth are following some of these things, that's where the focus is. You can take advantage of some of these things to start your business and grow your business as such. Then we have also crowdfunding platforms. They allow startups to raise small amounts of capital from a large number of individuals online. So we do this crowdfunding to support your startup. Then we have social media and online communities. So these are platforms that enable startups to reach global audience and gain support for their impact initiatives. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, these global audiences, as we have here, show great deal of interest in pressing global issues. And there are a number of them there. One of our businesses have actually been a beneficiary of some of these global audience, Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation from the Global Fund. When we started our advertising and marketing communications business somewhere in 2011, the focus was to do marketing communications and brand consultancy. We had opportunity to access funding, not direct funding, but have some projects done through the Global Fund, which is heavily funded by Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, of course, with the support of United States of America, Germany, and other developed countries contributing to the fund. So they help in the area of malaria eradication, tuberculosis eradication, and then HIV. So once you go into some of these projects, then you can, have the opportunity to access some of these impact investments or the investors from that community as much as possible. So in our case, we were involved in healthcare communication, and we did a lot in terms of national campaigns, and it was a real benefit to us. So these impact investments solve pressing global issues, as I mentioned, eliminating poverty, solving inequality issues, and then issues on climate change, tourism, and access to education and healthcare. So having talked about all these impact investment, the startups, and then the global investors, how do we connect all these as a whole? So for Ghana and Africa startups, particularly within the tourism and the hospitality industry, accessing a global audience is crucial. It opens doors to new markets, diverse cultures, and a plethora of opportunities. So within the technology space, actually leverage technology. So how do you do this? Technology will typically bridge the geographical gaps and bring global audiences within reach. By embracing digital platforms, startups within the country and Africa can showcase their unique offerings, attract international tourists, and engage with potential investors and partners worldwide. You can also build strong networks through associations. As we are here, and please do not leave here without having some form of network or partnership struck before, because they are very, very important. That's where this platform is being created for you. So build on stronger networks through collaboration with global tourism boards, international travel agencies, and hospitality groups. And we have a lot of them here, very seasoned and experienced industry players that you can partner with to grow your businesses. What it seeks to do is that it boosts your image and then enhances your credibility as much as possible. The other strategy is to promote authentic experiences. So Ghana in Africa is rich in diverse cultures and of course stunning landscapes and unique experience, which you all know. So by promoting authentic and local experiences, our startups can attract tourists seeking meaningful and memorable journeys. Then in the area of skills development, we are looking at continuous learning and skills development, which are very, very key to everything that we are doing here. It borders on skills development. By providing training and development opportunities for young entrepreneurs, this will ensure they have the skills and knowledge to compete globally, manage businesses sustainably. So for impact investment to truly flourish, collaboration between all stakeholders is imperative. Governments, financial institutions, development agencies, industry operators, academia, and private investors. We must all work together to create an enabling environment for startups. And this will include supportive policies by governments and major stakeholders, providing access to capital, and then mentorship and support programs. You should be able to offer mentorship and guidance to our young startups and then help them navigate challenges and seize opportunities accordingly. Ghana and Africa's tourism and hospitality industry holds immense potential for driving economic growth, creating jobs, and promoting sustainable development. By embracing impact investment and connecting our startups to a global audience, we can unlock this potential and pave the way for a brighter future. I will urge you all to commit to working together, sharing our knowledge and resources, and supporting our entrepreneurs as they embark on this exciting journey. So together, we can transform Ghana and Africa's tourism hospitality sector into a global powerhouse, showcasing the beauty, diversity, and resilience of our continent. Let us make a lasting impact and create a legacy of sustainable growth and prosperity for generations to come. Thank you very much.
Naki, Nakile, Nakile. Oh, Nakile, Nakile. Mike, ibi Nakile je joba no ba wosio. Naki, Naki. Hey, Naki, Naki, Naki. Oh, Naki. Ah, Naki, Naki. Ah. Ibi Naki. Oh, Naki. Ibi Nakile je joba no ba wosio. Nakile, Nakile. Ibi Nakile, Nakile. Ibi Nakile je joba no ba wosio. Nakile, Nakile, Nakile. Ibi Nakile, Jejomba no ba wosio. Nakile. Ibi Nakile, Jejomba no ba wosio. Mabota ko matele, ni matele. Mabota ko matele, ni matele. Ni matele, mi na seja tu ni matele. Ozakare sanekra.
At this point, we invite Mr. Marco Wormwood to give us our keynote speech. Hello, so ladies and gentlemen, let's welcome Mr. Marco Wormwood. Thank you.
First of all, what I want to say is thank you so much for the last few days I spent at my guest family here. I was very lucky to have a great Ghanaian guest family who supported me in many ways, and also led me to some attractions and tasted some amazing fufu, amazing jollof. And I mean, it was a bit dangerous, right? Because I knew it's gonna hurt myself a little bit, but I did it anyways. I was brave to try the Ghanaian food. So now I have a tummy ache, but I think everything is fine. Yeah, but that's how it is. I mean, sometimes you have to try out things. You have to be brave. You have to try something even if it's not well for your stomach. But anyways, yesterday I had the honor to visit a very nice museum. I think you all know it. It is the museum of the former president of Ghana, Nkrumah. Do I pronounce that right? Yes? I was very inspired. He was a cool man. He was not even reuniting Ghana and freed them from colonialism. He also did a lot, like all the infrastructure, the harbors, the airports, the roads. That was insane. And this thought led me to another one. They're not only leaders on the governmental basis. There's also a leader of each of us here in this room. We all can be leaders. I mean, I look in the eyes of entrepreneurs and brave entrepreneurs that are willing to become a leader in their region, country, or even in the world. What does it mean to be a leader? A leader is somebody that has the willingness to risk something. And this leads me to my first very important sentence. We need more leaders. We need more leaders, and this is important because we want to support sustainability, impact. All of that cannot be happening by good community and good leaders. What does it need to be a leader? To have ownership. To be an entrepreneur, it means that you take things personal. Because everything you do, everything you burn for is personal. You own it. It's yours. It is your idea. It is your subject. And you try to change something, and it's not going to be easy. There's going to be fear of rejection, right? I mean, all of us had this kind of fear of rejection. And I thought, yes, we all face rejection, but how often? Let's try to get rejected more often. Let's try to get rejected more often, yes, because that can help us to get used to it. And also to say a very magical word. Because what happens as an entrepreneur if your customer doesn't like your product? What do you say? Okay, I'm sorry, then we will never see you again. No, you ask this one very important word. And for me, it works like a miracle. It is why. And people have not the courage sometimes to ask why. Why don't you like that? Why are you not attracted to my product? Why is that the case? Why don't you have time? And it works miracles because sometimes people are willing to share why that's the case. And then you can react on that. Maybe you can even turn it around and make somebody a beloved customer. The second sentence that is really important for me, and I was very happy listening to the last speakers, because you know, it is clear that we need African innovations to solve world problems. Why is this the case? What is there in the world that needs to be solved? I mean, we are in a world right now where there is climate change, there's loss of biodiversity, there's plastic pollution, there's social problems. All of those things are happening right now, and even though we have leaders that maybe deny that or make it more difficult, that's why we have to stand as a community and trust our leaders to bring African innovation forward. How can African innovation help with that? I mean, Emmanuel already said and talked about it. It is it's not a lie that African society has 1.35 billion people. 70% of all of them are under the age of 24. You have the youngest society. you have not only the youngest society, you also have the biggest intention to be a founder society. The number in South Africa is over 85% of all those people I was talking about have the intention to be an entrepreneur. And when I was traveling around Africa, I was a lot in Rwanda and Tanzania. I met many African startups that did something different. I don't know, maybe you can help me with that, what it is exactly, but I call it the entrepreneurship gene. Maybe that's a hypothesis, obviously, but maybe because in the equatorial line, the most tremendous outcome of climate change is happening. So the hypothesis is the ones that have the greatest problems have the best solutions. And I think this willingness to turn it around and to make African innovation to solve worldwide problems is something that I confronted a lot in Africa. Above that, you all know leapfrogging. Like you skip innovations, right? You skip paradigms, and that's really cool. Like I grew up with 1G, 2G, 3G, 4G, 5G, and it was always a mess to delete the innovation beforehand and then start a new one, right? You have to change the infrastructure to get to the next innovation. And one of the biggest opportunities when I talk to investors in Africa is that you have really the chance to implement infrastructures on a very innovative level. When I was in Rwanda, 4G internet everywhere. In Germany, in the train, you don't have it at all. Like you have big problems still because it's still transforming. And there's a misconception about Africa has innovation. When I talk to investors and they say, what do you mean they do AI? Of course, we have a lot of innovative startups here around and people don't see that. So the very smart question would be, how can you invest in something that you don't know? So there needs to be someone who builds bridges, right? We have to connect, we have to matchmake. Because if we don't matchmake, people don't know about it. And that's something that I learned throughout my journey. I think it's a very powerful sentence if you think about it, that we have more similarities than we actually think we have. What does it mean? If we want to work together as a global society, not only concentrate on the region or the country, rather be worldwide or at least Pan-African, it is important to come together as people and not as necessarily regions. So let's try to find similarities rather than differences. And I think that's something important, at least from my point of view, that if you find that we have the same value, we have the same vision, we have the same expectations, we have the same way of doing business, maybe we are both Muslims and we understand that there's a different way of doing investment. If we find those similarities, it is a foundation to make business together. And that's something that we believe in Earthmates very much, that you have to find similarities and then to have then a very good business opportunities. Why is it important to support impact startups or like sustainable startups? We talked about the worldwide problems, right? But there's one theory that I would like to share with you. It's the one about the Stockholm Resilience Center has the SDGs. There are 17 goals that the UN declared once upon a time, 2015, I think. And those SDGs are, in a nutshell, the biosphere, so ecology, there's a society, and then there's the economy. But if you think about it, those are circles. So you basically have the biosphere as the world, which in the society lives in, which in the business lives in. So the business cannot exist without a society, and the society cannot exist without the ecology. That's why it's important that the business entrepreneurs get to impact entrepreneurs, because they are smart and conscious about their surroundings, and they're smart and conscious about that if this world falls apart by climate change, for instance, there's no society or no business that we can do. Yes, and what else do we have in common? It's a dream of a better tomorrow. Maybe that's something I would say in a nutshell, right? I mean, if I meet people from different countries, from different regions, we express our dreams differently. But in the end, if you put it like to a very, like oil, you know, like you press it and then there's like one important drop, it's always the dream of creating a better tomorrow for the family, for yourself, for the surroundings, it doesn't matter. In the end, it's impact entrepreneurship that really does something about it. So my next statement is we should all become earthmates. Earthmates means becoming a friend of the earth. Because we are earthmates. This is something we have in common. So Earthmates is a startup of ours. I was lucky enough to implement the idea only 1 year ago, so it's very fresh, actually. I was lucky enough to meet Jacobo, one of my CTOs, and he's from Italy, and he does an amazing job with Felipe and Francesco from Brazil and Italy too. I have the luck to know Mohammed Karsan, who comes from Tanzania, who's my co-founder, who lives in Rwanda, in Kigali, and he does an amazing job leading the startups from Africa, and he's the one that really is matching with me on a greater basis because I'm responsible for the investors, he is responsible for the startups. And then we have Daniel, who's from Nigeria, who is our community manager. We have Ali Dikba from Nigeria as well, who's our designer. And we have a nice team that is the match itself, because it's important, at least from my side again, to become international companies. To think about what if I come together with somebody that maybe is not from my culture, but because of diversity, we have the chance to build something greater than just alone. So you're very welcome to scan the code. This is our website. This is actually our launch. We want to have great experiences, and we already have also a Ghanaian German investor that is very important for us as an advisor as well. And what is something that I should explain maybe a little bit more is Earthmates is a matching between global investors on the one hand and impact startups from Africa on the other hand. But not only on the basis of like funding criteria. Of course, money is important, but it's not everything. And that's connected to what I said before, and we have more similarities than we think we have. That's why the algorithm works on the basis of soft criteria. It's important to have shared values, shared expectations, shared visions. And this is something that we do on Earthmates. We match those stakeholders. Above that, we also match founders with founders in terms of the Pan-African idea. Because we believe if you're a startup and you do social tech, there is 100% another startup that does social tech, maybe even has the same idea in Botswana or in Tanzania or in Egypt. We don't know. So if you match those people as well, they might become co-founders or they can learn from each other on a greater way. And this is something that is very important for me. We are continuously looking for the greatest startups in Africa, the greatest impact startups that really dedicate their work to become a leader and to show similarities. And those startups have the opportunity here to scan the code. It's a call for application also for the investors that are watching right now. We are trying to get the best startups from Africa to then match them with you investors. We already have multiple hundreds of investors in our pipeline. We have more than 3,000 startups already in our pipeline from all across Africa. And we are building a community of African founders that are willing to share knowledge, because you can only get knowledge when you share it. You can only know if you clear up the unknown. So let's try to clear that up. People have the feeling, especially in the Western world, Africa investment is risky and dangerous, but only because they don't know. So let us make them know. Applaud with me and make some noise, because if we work as a community, we will be heard.
My name is Joseph Oredu. I'm in the startup ecosystem, and I wanted to know if you usually organize any regular events, webinars, is it in-person, virtuals? How does that look like?
You basically ask if there are other events and if I'm doing this more often, like what we do today. Yes and no. This is my first time doing a keynote in an African country, so I'm very pleased to be here today. But, and that's something I actually want to say later on, but if you are a startup and you want to apply, there's something going on in the end of this year. Because, of course, we have to make good experiences, right? That's everything that is in between is creating good experiences. So there are events needed. We need events in order to make good experiences. And there is an event in Berlin on the 7th of November, and startups that are on the highest rank of the call of application will be invited and fully financed to come to Berlin and to showcase their innovation, because I think it's super important that we show the Western world, especially in Germany, what is African innovation, how does it look like, make it tangible, and create good experiences.
Thank you. My name is Victor Tete. I work with Challenges Ghana. Wonderful initiative that you have here. But in terms of the startups that you are looking at, are you sector agnostic, or you have certain sectors that you want these startups from?
That's a very nice question, though. I mean, I was talking just about impact startups, but of course there's so many sectors, there's so many different issues to fight against. And our focus is impact. If you look at the statistics, 90% of all African startups are tech startups. So really much looking also, especially into tech startups, because it's more easy to invest in tech startups than in other kind of startups. What we realized, the greatest startups that we have are agri-tech startups. The second one that we have is fintech, especially from Nigeria, as we all know. The third one that we have is also health tech, very important. But there's also match tech, which most people don't come up with. And there's a lot of plastic startups as well, like clean tech startups are really important because you can do a lot by recycling and by tracking. Did I answer your question?
Yeah, my name is Owusu from ATRN. But I want to know, how do one start with you? What is the process that one has to go through if one is a startup and wants to connect with you and all that? What is the process?
So what is the process if somebody wants to connect with me, right? I got it wrong? All right. Depends which kind of stakeholder you are. If you're a startup, the easiest way is to do the application. This is my LinkedIn QR code. I'm very much reachable on LinkedIn. I do everything on LinkedIn. I share postings about capital efficiency, investment, about interviews with startups that I have, approaches, how we can bring people together. And this is kind of my dream page. Hope you're going to follow me on that. And I'm always available if you text me. I think that's the easiest way. Above that, everybody who wants to have like a longer chat, we can even explore that after the event, I would say.
I bring you greetings from Ghana Progressive Hotels Association, which is under Ghana Tourism Federation. We want to say congrats to Mr. Frimpong and the team for this good and great innovation. And we as hoteliers, we are also here to look at how best we can collaborate to make sure that this initiative, all of us will come on board to help. We as Ghana Progressive Hotels Association will be connecting with them, and we say for the success of this initiative, and we will also try our best to connect on the. Some of our members are set up, some are small, so we'll see how best. Thank you very much.
On behalf of ATAS, the Association of Tourist Attractions and Sites, we wish to commend the organizers of this event. I feel highly honored to be given this opportunity to make a statement. I'll start by stating the obvious that Ghana has a huge tourism potential that, when developed or harnessed, can resolve most of the perennial economic problems we have, as well as create employment and also help develop communities in the rural areas where the tourism resources are located. In Ghana, each of the 16 regions has a unique tourism resources, but the challenge we have is that tourism seems to be over-centralized in Ghana. If we want to take a full advantage of our tourism resources, we will need to decentralize tourism development. By that, what I mean is that international best practices show that most countries that have developed the tourism resources have some form of decentralization, such that each region takes responsibility for its tourism development. In Ghana, it's like the head of the Ministry of Tourism, the Ghana Tourism Authority, and then the private sector, GATO follows. But if we want to take full advantage of our tourism resources, we need to decentralize so that regions will take responsibility for their own tourism resources. To conclude, we at ATAS believe that this workshop couldn't have come at a better time. We will collaborate with ATRN and EarthMeet to create a neighborhood environment and a conducive atmosphere for our members. Thank you.
At this point, we take greetings from the Ghana Tourism Federation and we invite Mr. Kweku Pasa Senior, the Vice President.
Knowledge is not static and is available to be acquired as and when you want it. We thank Mr. Frempong and his team for organizing this. Personally, I've learned a lot and I'm sure we'll take it up and then work with him. But I live in Dodowa. And when I go out and I see a lot of young boys, 10 here, you don't know what they are talking about. 2 here, you don't know how they are, in groups. And then I tell whoever I'll be working with that, hey, we are going to have problem in the near future if we don't find something for these young men to do. And most of them also have very bright ideas. So Mr. Frempong, we are very grateful for this privilege, and I will make sure that we put it to use. Thank you.
The African Medical Tourism Council is a group of tour professionals and medical people that basically are trying to promote medical tourism in Ghana. And I'm delighted by this new opportunity and this new venture that the ATRN is embarking on. But there are 2 things that I want to put to you, challenge you with, both Emmanuel and Marco. So I'm also part of Rotary Club. And one of the things I see in all of these opportunities for development that we have, and there's a lot of speakers have talked about the great ideas that Africans have and the great opportunities because of the great need we have in our countries. But how do you solve the problem? I see in Rotary that sometimes we have a great idea, but raising funding for it is a problem, because proposal writing is a big problem here. So I would suggest that as part of what ATRM does, please set up a system that supports people that want to get things done, that they understand how to access funding from the impact investors. No investor would just come and talk to you because you'd express a need. You must give them a bankable idea and make them understand that indeed your idea is something that will flourish, help the society, and also maybe help you. A lot of what we do, both the hospital that I am head of, Ginger, which is an online healthcare company, AMTC, all of these things we do are social impact concept. We are not driven necessarily by finance. We are driven by making a social impact. And a lot of us here have the same idea, doing something that helps the society. But unless we can speak the language on how to communicate with investors in a way that they understand the wisdom of what we are saying and how what we are requesting for can impact our societies. There are a lot of funding agencies that have money sitting there for Africa that we never access because we don't have the skills to access them. So what I think ATRM should do is to ensure that that system or a program or an office that supports businesses that have good ideas but don't know how to access good funding. I'm not talking about ideas, we have them. I'm talking about proposals, writing proposals, putting together documents that allow you to be able to present a bankable idea to an investor that gets his attention. I think that's what we should focus on. Thank you very much.
I move straight to the Scout Club Ghana. We'll have the president. Ladies and gentlemen, let's welcome Madame Vivian Abe.
Just to buttress what my fellow Rotarian said. Yes, we are all in the service industry. SCAL is a friendship club doing business and connecting the world globally for tourism. And from all that has been said, it's all about education, how you position and work your mind to reach your goal. The youth of today need a lot of direction. There's so much you can do. You have to assess yourself, find your true in being, what you want to be. And with investments and everything, it opens doors, it's creating doors, it's bridging the gap in infrastructure and everything for us. But it depends on us in our country, as we tap into investment, how we want to use it and for the betterment of yourself and the country. Today, investment in tourism is a mega thing because tourism is the in thing, is the talk of the day today, and it's helping countries with their GDPs and everything. For us here in tourism, we are not competitors in the different sectors you find in tourism. We have to complement ourselves with our division, the hoteliers. Without the travel agents bringing passengers in, the hoteliers will not have customers. So we are not in competition. That is something that we have to defer and clear from our minds, that we are not competitors. We are complementing each other. In so doing, we become united and will give better service in the industry. And the way we do things, investment, don't think of the end product of the riches. The riches will come if you do the right things in the right time and everything. Then you have a solid base of whatever you are working for, and then the riches that you expect will come. Don't learn to run before you start to walk. So you have to walk the lines, do the right thing, put things in perspective, and then you go step by step to align. We are not a unit globally. So whatever we are doing, we have to always think of the global concept, that we are aligning ourselves with global changes and what is taking place, so that our tourism, and to have for your country to be a destination of choice, you have to do things right. In certain countries, people go there because of the way they serve, their sanitation issues, cleanliness and everything. All this is embodied in tourism and everything, really, not only tourism, but in our whole lives. So I have enjoyed this. It's nice to have this forum, and the time is now. Whether you are tapping into the you write a good proposal for your money to come through to you, you must be focused that you are leaving a legacy for yourself, that you had this innovation, you put it into practice, and you've done it, and somebody is going to also build on it. Thank you very much.
within a minute or two, I'm going to go around with all of you. You tell us who you are and where have you been and where are you going with what you are doing.
So my name is Odilia Ntiamwa. I used to be a journalist, like Frimpong said. I used to head business department of the multimedia group as head of business. Haven't been there for a while. I noticed that there was a huge gap. Every time you wanted to interview business owners, when you take 10 business owners you wanted to interview, you will have 9.5 of them being men. The half man is actually waiting for a woman to just give up their opportunity so that they can quickly jump into it. So having worked in the managerial role for 5 years, I stepped out in 2022 and then I started this project. It's a project that supports women-led businesses across Africa. So we currently have 3,500 women-led businesses signed up on our network. And they are coming from about 37 African countries. Ghana has the largest, of course, because we started the project from here, but we currently have done over 30 to 35 in-person and online training. Every time we take a look at about 100 women-led businesses online, and then of course, because our hub is not that large, we do trainings for women-led businesses, looking at about a number of about 50 women. We have collected a lot of data, so almost everything we do is data-driven. We do nothing without data. Our current data, which was put together by ourselves and the Swiss Embassy, focused on 3 areas. Taking a look at women-led businesses in Ghana, why they really do not access funding from commercial places, why also they are not taking advantage of the Continental Free Trade Area, and of course exports amongst many other things. And then of course when it comes to technical support, exactly where are they getting the technical support from? From this research, we have been able to do a couple of things after that to be able to help women-led businesses to become sustainable. One of our latest projects that we're working on is setting up a women investment fund, because the women-led businesses have peculiar needs. Women-led businesses, we did a data collection on 400 women-led businesses, and what we identified was that out of these numbers, the largest numbers were actually not looking for commercial loans, because when you take a look at the economy currently, going for commercial loans is quite risky for a lot of startups. And so women-led businesses don't want commercial loans. They are actually looking for the opportunity to get either grants or some level of impact investing that has like a very little interest rate. So that was one of the things we found out. And based on that, we have started conversations on setting up a women investment fund with real focus on women-led businesses and what really works in the world of women-led businesses. Yeah.
I'm a consummate marketing communications practitioner and a consultant. So that's where I started from. But I had passion for tourism. And I remember a few years ago, I was in Kenya, and then in our interaction with some of it was actually Magical Kenya Expo. So I happened to be there. So in our engagements and interactions with the other people from the other countries, I think one expatriate guy from UK asked me, why did I find myself in tourism? And I said, it's as a result of conservation. I have so much passion for conservation and issues on sustainability. As I speak with you now, I am a certified travel life sustainability manager and trainer. So that's how come, I took a deep dive into tourism. When you are in tourism, it opens your mind, your spirit, your soul to so many things, because if you go through literature from the United Nations literature, and you can go online, there's even an aspect of tourism for SDGs. You can use tourism to solve almost all the socioeconomic issues that we have. In fact, not almost everything. Earlier on, Marco talked about 17 Sustainable Development Goals. you can actually use tourism to solve all these 17 sustainable development goals. And I have a lot of presentation slides on issues on sustainability, and one of them I touched on using tourism to solve the societal problems, and for that matter, to address sustainable development goals. So it tells you where I am going. But because you asked of my origins, which is the marketing, communications, and advertising, you can literally not separate advertising and marketing communications from tourism. They are bedfellows. Everything that you do must be advertised or marketed in tourism. So I find it very much fulfilling. I think where I see myself is a lot more thought leadership programs. And that is my way of impacting society and making a difference in societal values. And that's why I find this, the topic for this program, impact investment. It's not only about the tangible aspect of investment in terms of funds. The mindset change, the programming of your mind to look a certain way, to become more entrepreneurial, that social entrepreneurship that I talked about earlier on, that is within my DNA. And that's where I am heading towards through thought leadership programs. So all the things that I have studied, I've learned through conferences, programs, such as this. And not too long ago, I was in Madrid. And even though it was an advertising program and a conference, I took the opportunity to be at Santiago Bernabeu, the home grounds of Real Madrid. I'm sure you all do follow football. And Real Madrid is European champions now, club champions now. And I learned a lot at the stadium. What is being done using a stadium. At the time that football is not being played, you can see a queue at the stadium of people of all nationalities going into the stadium to do a stadium tour. And then also purchase Real Madrid paraphernalia. It's mind-blowing. Actually, I did what we call in Ghana a city tour, the hop on, hop off. When we got there and they started telling about the history of Santiago Bernabeu, I said, no, let me just go around and come back again. So I did another 1 hour, came back. This time I got down and then went to the stadium and then experienced all that Real Madrid was doing. And I looked back in Ghana here and I said, oh, Accra Sports Stadium, Baba Yara Stadium, what can we do better?
My name is Janice Tego. I was just talking to Madam Odilia at the back, and I was telling her that my transition from corporate into entrepreneurship wasn't something I really planned, but it was as a result of a family tragedy. That as a firstborn, as a female, coming from a middle-income family, going to sit in an office with my portfolio to take a certain amount of money wasn't going to help me in any way. So I had to assess myself. Janice, what can you do best? What kind of experiences have you gained? Because I'm one person who didn't play with all of my internship, my service, trainings, and all of that. So I've worked with quite a number of companies. I'm like, okay, Janice, what can you do best? And back in school, I had hands-on experience with media, marketing, communications. I'm like, okay, then I'm realizing a gap here. Why don't I help, right, for my colleagues? It could even start from peer coaching, because we are in that era where startups, entrepreneurship, everybody's coming up with their own businesses. So why don't you be the person to help them at affordable rates? Because most of these digital companies are charging a lot. When you take their invoices, it's nothing you can pay. So I decided to set up my own digital business solutions company called Janice Digital & Co. And I started from helping my friends how to set up their social media, if it's a website, if it's your complimentary card, production. So basically what I did was to put my colleague friends together, freelancers. And I'm like, okay guys, I know amongst us, I do best with leading. So I'll be the leader, you be the team members. I go get the clients and we can do the work together. And that's how Janice Digital & Co. began. And as time went on, I realized another gap that most of us, some of us, we really want to look up to some of you and all that you're doing, but we can't seem to find you anywhere. So I realized there's a problem with online brand reputation management. So part of my company is dedicated to, I call it brand right. Brand right, because we're in an era where everybody's going to Google and look for you. Who is she? Who is he? What has he been up to? And I've gotten to a point where if you don't even have an online brand, it's like you don't exist. And then the so-called experts are dying out. And the young ones who are taking over social media are being regarded and called the experts. So Brand Right aims at helping professionals, experts, hop onto social media, create a brand for themselves, and showcase what they've been doing and what they've been up to. So basically, that is what I do.
I would love to give a comment to Odira. I really love what you do. I think it's super important as an add-on, because I know the numbers actually from Germany. Female entrepreneurship is something really important, but it is just, I think, round about 20% in Germany. When I was in Rwanda, it was much more. I don't know the numbers here in Ghana, but I was impressed. And I think that's also an advantage for international investors, because that's something that investors are looking for right now. Female-led startups, at least to have a female in the startup team. It is very important, especially if you have female as customers. I mean, how should you understand them, you know? It is super important, and I know in Rwanda, the government has 60% women, so it's even more. That's insane. Coming back to me, where this all started was actually my master thesis when I was studying in Milano. And I realized this is a great idea, but I didn't find anybody that could do that with me. So I had all the hope to really find the right people. I think it even started before, and when I was living in Tanzania, because I was actually founding an NGO. In retrospective, even though this NGO was very sustainable, I'm not a big fan of NGOs in total anymore. I think the best way to support is direct investment to entrepreneurs. This is something that I learned throughout the years. But being in Tanzania, in Mbeya, Oyole, I met a lot of people with smart ideas, but they didn't get heard. Nobody knew about their marketing agencies or anything else. And I think that's a pity. Yeah? Where I want to go is to create not even an ecosystem, rather than a movement of investors worldwide that know that Africa is becoming the continent of innovation in the next 20 years. It's like India and China, this all has happened. So I'm always trying to tell the investors, don't miss it out, because it's happening right now. We really want to match investors and startups every single day. It's kind of like, from the look and feel, it should be like a Tinder feeling. So you swipe your investment, and my dream, and I think it's actually very tangible, is to get investment into Africa 1,000 times a day with this platform, and support and educate on that platform as well, like connect them with Odira when it's about female entrepreneurship, connect them with Janice when it's about marketing, connect them with a law firm in that area when it's necessary for them. Technical assistance, also very great pain point many African startups face. We have already partners of Nigerian and Gambian companies that are doing CTO as a service, for example. So we connect entrepreneurs with those people as well. And that's very important.